Hello folks, and welcome to another Kent Models how-to video. In this one we're going to talk about how to mask up your window rubber areas and just general a little bit of talk about masking. Now once you've painted your kit, in this particular case a car, you obviously then want to make the car look as real as possible, so putting in the black rubbers around the windows is imperative. Now, the kind of paint that you use for that, or the colour of paint you need for that, is flat black, which is in the Aquis range number 12. If you put gloss black or any other kind of gloss on there, it just doesn't look real. So you need to do like you'd normally have on a car, which is have a dull rubber look, which is going to be a flat black colour. Now, you get asked quite a lot of questions about how to do this. Now, if you've got a super steady hand and you've got a real nice sharp brush, then of course you can just freestyle it and go in, but what you'll find is you'll get the odd bit of wibbly line there and it won't look perfect, or at least as good as it could possibly be. So the actual proper way of doing it is to mask it up. Not one way, but the proper way is to mask it up. Now there's two different types of masking tape I'm showing you here. In fact, three. So the first is this 3mm wide stuff. Now you'll find this in our shop, and its purpose is to create real sharp lines. More than that, it's also very flexible, so it will go around corners and you can create different shapes of it. If you pull it about, you can actually see that you can manipulate it to do what you want it to do. Now, the difference between this masking tape and the slightly wider 10mm masking tape will become evident if you try to paint with it. So the thicker masking tape, the edge is not as clean. The makeup of the paper the tape's made of isn't as fine. So if you just mask and paint against this thicker masking tape, you're going to find you're going to get a very raggedy edge, and also sometimes you're going to get paint bleed where the paint is actually going to go underneath the masking tape. But both of them have got a purpose. So for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to, a demonstration of how to mask up the top of the front window and how I'd do it, just to give you some pointers and maybe some ideas to, if you've been struggling with this, how to overcome that struggle. So I've cut a little bit of the tape off, more than I need for the moment. Now I'm going to just start on one end, and as I go, because this car's round, at least the top of the roof is, I'm just going to thumb it around to follow the contours of the line of the roof. Now this tape's really good, and if you don't quite get it right, you can just peel it off, pick it back up again and start again. But miraculously, I think I've done a pretty good job of that on the first attempt. So as you can see there, so I've put the tape around and I've left the edge for the beading for the window. Now it's really important to make sure that you press that down hard enough so that you're reducing the chances of getting any bleed under the tape, so you get a nice crisp edge. Again, this is just a test kit, so I'm going to be pretty brutal with this. So now the next thing, so we've got our nice lined edge, so we're going to paint up against the edge, but we need to be overly careful and make sure that we're not going to get paint in places where we don't want it to be. So this is where your thicker tape comes into it. So now you can back up your front line tape with the thicker 10mm tape as such, okay? Now the third bit of tape is this masking sheet and tape that we have in our shop. So it's masking tape that automatically comes with a sheet attached to it. So at this point, obviously I'll just demonstrate, but so we've got our 3mm tape, then our 10mm tape, and now if I wanted to tape up the rest of the body, I can put that over and tape it up. So obviously that's all getting quite comprehensive in terms of masking. So if we're just going to brush this on, clearly having this all masked up and covered off is completely overkill. But whilst we're talking about masking, I thought we'd just relevant to show you how to layer up all 3 different kinds of masking tape so that when you do come to spray it, for example, you can. So the choices you have of doing the rubbers around the windows is to either brush them on or to spray them on or airbrush them on. Now for me, I quite like the idea of just brushing them on, and with Mr. Hobby Paints you can get the right finish, and it saves a lot of faffing around with using your airbrush and cleaning it out and all this kind of stuff. And also it means that you don't have to do all of this excessive masking just because you're going to spray. So I find that brushing on the window rubbers is adequate enough, it's okay. So for the purpose of this video, all I'm going to do is show you how to mask that up, and then, which I've just done, and also to just brush on the black and then peel the masking tape off so you can see the end result. Now, again, like all of these things, if you pay attention and you do a real good job of it, it's going to make your kit look much more realistic. So, I'll take my number 12 paint. I meant to do was to put a couple of balls in the paint. I haven't used this paint for a few days. So I'll put, you can get these Mr. Balls in our shop, and they're just little ball bearings, and you put them in, and of course it makes sure that your paint is mixed properly. So I'll just make sure that's the case, which it is. And now I'm going to take my brush, and what you want to do is just put a suggestion of colour along. Now if you go too heavy-handed on the colour, you open up the potential of having bleed underneath your masking tape. So all you want to do really is just put enough on and try to avoid any big heavy build-ups in any areas. And there we go, it's done, as easy as that. Now if you were freestyling it and do it with a hand, you'd spend 10 minutes messing around with that, but we've done it in just one foul swoop. Now I can obviously demonstrate, you know, if we was to freestyle it, this isn't the sharpest, finest brush, but this is a good indicator, an example of trying to do your best, but if you miss the shaky hand man, it's very, very difficult to do. And you've got the chance of having to go through and touch it up, and if you get it wrong, you're kind of committed. So there we go, so I've done that. Now I don't need to wait for it to dry, because I didn't go too crazy on how much paint I put on there to begin with. So it isn't dry, but I haven't got to worry about it running or trying to bleed through because I didn't go crazy on it. Now all we want on these rubbers is just a suggestion of colour. We're not looking for a super thick glossy finish, because that's not what we the colour we put on or the finish of the rubbers are anyway. So if I magic, see that? Super straight, perfect. If you compare that to my shaky hand attempt of freestyling it, where it's, it's okay, but it's not perfect, you can see there's a huge difference between the two. And it probably took me half the time that it would do just to freestyle it and to get it right. Now when you get this problem where you've freestyled it and it's a bit wobbly, it's very difficult to recover from, and what is quite common is that you try to then overcompensate it by trying to make the line straighter and straighter and straighter, and before you know you've painted the whole thing. So to avoid that completely, if you just make sure that you've got, as usual, the right stuff to begin with and start layering it up, you'll find that, again, it's much more pleasurable when you look and you think, wow, I just did that, look at that, that's incredible. So the moral to that story is using the super thin 3mm tape for any kind of pinstriping and edging, and then using the thicker tape and the masking sheet for masking up much larger areas. Hope you found that interesting, and it improves the qualities of your builds. Any comments or questions, please let us know. Thank you.